Hello there. I am so elated that you have joined the session, which covers MOOCs and OERs. At this point, you may be wondering, hmm, well, what are MOOCs? And what does OER even mean? Well, I am your presenter, Kind Krista, and in this session, we will explore MOOCs, OERs, their strengths, weaknesses, the questions and or concerns that I have about them, and how I would use them in my context, which is an online undergraduate psychology program. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Essentially, MOOCs stand for Massive Open Online Courses. Their massiveness and openness are key features because they are available and accessible to an unlimited number of learners around the world at a low cost and even for free. In most cases, these courses are offered fully online, and note, I've said in most cases, because there are some higher education institutions that are negotiating with the rights holders to use mock materials in a blended format for use on campus. And that's according to Bates. Bates also highlighted an example of this blended approach, specifically noting that learners at San Jose State University used mock materials from Udacity courses, including lectures, readings, and quizzes, and then instructors spent the class time on small group activities, projects, and quizzes to check progress. Nevertheless, for the most part, mocks are generally offered online. And finally, they are designed and delivered to learners as courses. Some of them are structured like traditional credit courses, which means that they consist of lectures, readings, assessments, discussion boards, and once completed, the learners get a certificate. Hooray! Cause for celebration, right? Now, here are some other interesting facts about mocks. Did you know that Coursera, Udacity, and edX are educational companies that offer mocks? Well, if you are really interested in one of these courses, then head on over to the website and check out the wide range of courses that they offer. Now that we have a better understanding or an idea about mocks, let's delve into their strengths and weaknesses. Guess what? There are quite a few perks of completing mocks. Some people experience career and educational benefits upon completion. What do you think are some of the career benefits of mocks? Well, here's some relevant data that helps answer that pertinent question. In a Coursera survey, 52% of the participants were able to find new jobs or experienced major improvements or even started their own business. They received a pay increase, some received a promotion, some enhanced skills for current job, and some changed a new career. So these are some of the major improvements that they experience upon completion of mocks. As it pertains to the educational perks, it helps learners gain knowledge and it facilitates lifelong learning. Overall, 61% of the participants in the Coursera survey reported that they experienced educational benefits. For instance, some people gained credit toward academic degree, while others it helped them decide what to study. So these are just some of the educational benefits that some people experience upon completion of a mock. Bates also pointed out some other interesting perks. He specifically noted that MOOCs deliver high quality content from some of the world's best universities for free to anyone with a computer and an internet connection. They also provide educational opportunities to a large audience who cannot afford the traditional learning path. So, generally, it has been found to provide remarkable opportunities to persons who have limited access to education and are of a lower socioeconomic status. On the contrary, more critics have identified some of its drawbacks. A major one is that they have very low completion rates. According to Bates, less than half of registrants actively participate, and of these, only a small proportion successfully complete the course. To be more precise, research findings have revealed that only 4% of Coursera users who watch at least one course lecture go on to complete the course and receive a credential. And this data is according to Coursera's experts. So, although MOOCs are accessible and available to an unlimited number of participants, and yes, several persons do enroll, but unfortunately, just a handful complete these courses. This therefore suggests that only these few people experience the benefits mentioned earlier. What do you think are some other weaknesses of MOOCs? Well, another one that comes to my mind is the cost. Yes, the cost. Actually, I have to confess that while learning about MOOCs, I was quite confused about its cost. You see, initially I thought it was completely free. In fact, according to Bates, access is free for participants. However, to my surprise, these courses are not completely free, as students may have to pay fees. So, as I delved deeper into the readings, I learned that providers usually charge fees for various aspects of courses. For instance, Bates also noted that providers often charge fees for course assessments as well as to obtain certificates or badges. Additionally, MOOCs are also expensive to produce. Personally, it was interesting to learn that MOOC providers also incur an array of costs to develop, deliver, and maintain courses. Bates specifically pointed out that the cost of XMOOC development, without including the time of the MOOC instructor, tends to be almost double the cost of developing an online credit course using a learning management system because of the use of video in MOOCs. If the cost of the instructor is included, XMOOC's production costs come closer to 3 times that of a similar length online credit course, especially given the extra time faculty tend to put in for such a public demonstration of their teaching in MOOC. That is according to Beats. So here we see how costly it can be to produce MOOCs. Now, if this is the case, then I often wonder if MOOCs should really be considered a money saver for higher education institutions. Should it really be considered a money saver for higher education institutions? What are your thoughts on this? Interestingly, this question also comes to my mind regarding OERs. Now, if you are new to the world of OERs, then here's a simple breakdown of what it means as well as its perks and weaknesses. OERs stand for Open Educational Resources. Now, like MOOCs, they are available and accessible to an unlimited number of learners around the world for free or at a relatively low cost. These open resources can be an open textbook that students can access for free online, or even open research articles. Now, free access to all these resources is a huge perk for learners. Carpel and Snyder 2018 noted that OERs offset the cost of traditional textbooks. In fact, the high cost of textbooks has led many online programs like the University of Maryland Global Campus to rely on OERs to reduce costs for learners. So essentially, traditional textbooks are an added cost for learners. And several students expressed concern about the cost of textbooks required for courses, while others pinpointed the detrimental impacts that textbook affordability have on their overall success. Personally, as a student of UMBC, I would always check the course syllabus before the course's official start date to see what textbooks were required. And guess what? I always felt relieved when I saw that there were no textbooks required. That's right. All in all, OERs are great for reducing the cost burdens of learners, which is a bonus and a major perk. However, it is crucial to highlight that, like MOOCs, institutions incur cost. Particularly, Bates highlighted that while the use of open materials may be free to the end user, learners, there are real costs in creating and distributing open education and supporting learners, which has to be covered in some way. So in this case, should OERs as well as MOOCs, but should OERs really be considered money savers for higher education institutions? And how can these institutions recover the costs incurred to provide both MOOCs and OERs? What are your thoughts on this? Needless to say, these are just a few thought-provoking questions that come to my mind about MOOCs and OERs. Now, OERs are not without their drawbacks, a major one being their quality. Unlike MOOCs, OERs vary in quality, that is, some may be of high quality, while others may be of very low quality. Interestingly, Tang postulated in his study that since OER are free, its creators have little to no incentive to ensure the content they share remains relevant, accurate, and accessible. It is thence imperative to evaluate and determine the quality of free resources prior to their use. However, with time constraints experienced by several teachers globally, this heightens the issue of quality assurance. Particularly, a lack of time to scrutinize open materials can result in the use of resources not being a best fit for courses. And as one teacher nicely puts it, education is resource rich, but time poor. And as such, not having sufficient time to properly sift through OERs can serve as a barrier to their use. The curtains are finally coming down on this riveting session, and we have gotten to the point where I share my use of OERs and MOOCs in my context. Let me first point out that my context is a DE undergraduate psychology program. Now, as a distance educator in this particular context, I would implement OERs in various courses as reading materials, supplementary materials, as well as in assessments. Now, as it pertains to assessments, students will be required to find an open peer-reviewed article on a particular subject matter. They will have to analyze it, evaluate it, and apply the content. Essentially, the main objective here is for learners to gain these skills, which according to Bates are needed in this digital age. Regarding my use of MOOCs, I would use it to promote lifelong learning in the psychological sphere. As an advocate of continuous learning, MOOCs would be a great way to encourage students to keep learning after they have completed the program. And that concludes our session on MOOCs and OERs. I hope you have a better understanding of them and perhaps look into using them yourself. Thanks so much for joining this session. Here are some of the references. And once again, thank you so much.